Hi everybody, this is the investing teacher, high school science teacher teaching others how to invest. In this video I'm going to go over a new strategy that I implemented on Microsoft using a diagonal spread. Pretty interesting results. It pretty much went as good as I could possibly imagine in the 3 weeks doing it. Very high returns. I'm going to show you what the strategy is, show you the positions and how I rolled out, and total profits. Let's get right to it. Okay, here's the diagonal spread that I use to sell weekly in the money puts using Microsoft, relatively stable, low implied volatility position. First, what is a diagonal spread and how does it work? This is called a diagonal spread because it combines a horizontal spread, also called a time spread or calendar spread. That's essentially when you sell or buy a put at a certain date in the future, but then you sell and buy a similar put. So with the same strike price in a different date. But then we're also going to be looking at a vertical spread with it. That's where you have differences in strike prices. So you're essentially doing a calendar spread and a vertical spread, different expiration dates and different strike prices. This is a little bit more complicated than some other strategies, but I'm going to go over exactly what I did with these numbers. Highly recommend checking out some of my other videos on how I'm doing credit spreads in the recent playlist. For diagonal spreads, what I did is I decided to buy a put about 10 points lower than the current price. And I picked a blue chip stock right after earnings, decided on Microsoft, had pretty positive earnings, a slight earnings surprise there. And typically there's lower IV during this. It's used for protection against a big drop. Again, you're buying the put first, and this is to be able to sell much more in premium from the sold positions. Going to be a bit aggressive on selling the puts. They're going to be at the money, so that means at the exact same strike price against that position. And then every Friday, I'm going to roll it. If the stock goes up, we can essentially buy to close it at $10, $20 maybe, and then sell the same at the money weekly strike. If the stock drops, you're still going to roll it and try to sell at the money at the same strike, hopefully for a slight net credit. It really depends on how much higher or lower the stock goes at that point. So here's I started the position on Microsoft on August the 3rd. The stock was at 285.76. Decided to buy a 270 put. So it's pretty far out of the money from the initial price. This was in October 15th, right before the next earnings date, which was going to be the end of October. And it cost me $621, essentially the money to play the game here for the protection. If the stock drops a lot, this put will be more valuable because, again, it's going down to 270. If the stock tumbles to 250, this will be a pretty valuable position here. The theta at the time was $6. So I'm essentially paying about $6 a day for the theta decay and the bought put. But as you'll notice, this is much lower than what the weekly at the money theta decay is. So then I decided to sell at the money weekly short puts. Theta decay ramps up a lot on those at the money weeklies, as you'll see in the numbers. Going to sell them on Friday, get that weekend theta decay, roll it again on the next Friday. Now we are going to take advantage of that theta decay of the weekend. It's possibly a myth because a lot of the option prices are made as the option starts to decay. So there's not really a lot of truth to holding an option over the weekend. But the big part is that Thursday to Friday before expiration, there's a huge amount of theta decay. Instead of the $6 for the bought put, we're looking at $25 to $30 at times for the other ones. Again, main point is to make the theta difference between that bought and sold put. So in the first sold put, it was on August 3rd, and it sold at the money 285 put, expiring that same week on Friday, made $151. You want to look for about 25 to 30% premium collected on that first sold put. Able to buy to close out for $21 on Friday. The stock actually did go up at that point. So from 151 to 21, made $130 in about a week. The long put did decrease as well, only $33 though. Then I did a rolling, 806, same price. Microsoft went up to 288.18. Sold another put for next Friday. up to the 285 strikes, a little bit higher than I started with, and that made $139. I was able to buy the close that on Thursday instead of Friday for only $20. And 139 minus 20, looking at another $119 profit in a week. Not even, because it went to Thursday. Long put did decrease a bit to $47. One of the things to worry about this particular strategy is the theta decay will start to ramp up on that bought put. But as you'll see, the numbers didn't really matter much. Second roll, 289.33, went up to a 287 put, made $198. The stock shot up quickly, so I decided to actually buy the close of that day for $104. Made a decent gain in a day here. Then I moved the strike up to 292.50 because the stock was up at 292.50 in a day. And then made a good amount of premium there. On 820, sold that put for $14. At this point, I decided to close the position because I had a pretty wide width of the strikes. So theoretically, the stock went down again. I could have lost quite a bit of money. So I decided to get out of the position, bought back my original 275 put, and I made $298 from buying the put back. Total profit was $298. I had to put up $621 in 3 weeks. That was a 48% return on my money in just 3 weeks. And Microsoft did increase a bit at the time, but it didn't increase by 48%, nowhere near that. I did have to hold a little bit of extra money in my brokerage account because you have to hold the width of the strikes for a possible max loss scenario. And some of the pros and cons of the strategy. This worked in a pretty much ideal situation. The stock never dropped. It just steadily increased about 2 to 3% per week in the 3 weeks we did it. We're taking advantage of huge theta decay. The short puts were sometimes almost $70 in just theta loss, meaning if it was at the money, let's say it's at 290 and the stock's at 290, those options were still worth $70 even on Thursday for the next day expiration. You can do this with pretty small accounts. I only needed $621 plus width of the strikes. So you could do that for maybe $1,000 total. Weekly income from that cheap bought put. That cheap bought put, $621 is getting me $150 per week just back from these expiring sold positions. And again, that bought put does get protection from a big drawdown. If stock tumbles, at least would have a certain max loss scenario, but the bought put would increase in value as well. There are a few cons to the strategy, I'm not going to lie. If the stock drops to the bought put price, you could actually lose quite a bit because you're losing in the sold options. You won't be able to roll those for a profit. If your stock drops a little bit, you might have to roll sometimes for a small credit or debit. You may not necessarily make $100, $150 a week off 620. Some weeks you might only get $20, $30. It could use up a lot of buying power. The width of my last spread was 17.5. So that means I have to hold 1750 in just a brokerage account in case I might hit the max loss. So that's why I decided to get out of the position with a pretty good return in 3 weeks. So guys, again, I really like this strategy. It could be used with low implied volatility positions. You want to pick some that are after earnings. Looking at those blue chip stocks like Microsoft. I just set up another one with Walmart. Let's say symbol WMT. And I was thinking about NVIDIA as well because they had good earnings. Typically after a blue chip shot has greater than expected earnings, the stock price might continue to go up, but there's probably a pretty low percent chance it would dive bomb, and that's what we don't want in this strategy. We want neutral to slightly bullish. That would be the ideal situation on these. So again, main strategy, you buy a put about 3 months out after earnings because it's lower implied volatility. You want to buy that for about 5 to 10 lower than the current strike price. Then you're going to sell weekly at the money puts. And then on Friday, sometimes even Thursday, if the theta decayed or the stock went up a lot, you're going to buy to close that one, hopefully for a good profit, and then sell another at the money at the new strike price. If you have any general questions on the strategy, leave a comment down below. Check and read all comments. Hopefully this was very helpful to you guys, and see you guys next time.